Good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome, my fellow Earth travelers, to your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom and hopefully some magic and some joy today. We have a card again from the Oracle of E deck by Pam Grout and Colette Baron-Reid. And I read the card and I thought, this is good stuff, but we need more. We need more. So I went back to the beginning of the book and read their little intro to the book. Good morning to whomever just popped on. I see your number one. There we go. Nancy, good morning. You are first today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Read their intro to their card deck and thought, this is the magic. This is the important stuff. Good morning, Barb. Glad you're here. Welcome. This is the piece we're too often missing these days. So, in addition to reading the card, good morning, good morning, good morning, I want to read some of their introduction, why they did this in the first place, right? Because that's where the magic is, the why. The magic is in the why. Good morning, Miss Jo Neal. Glad you are here. And we need the magic. We need the magic. We've always needed the magic. We've sometimes denigrated the magic, but we've always needed it. We've always needed it. So, a couple of things flowed into this today. Good morning, Gwen. Welcome, welcome. Glad you are here. Yesterday, I spent the bulk of the day, other than when I had to run to Walmart, doing some out-of-the-box work. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. I did 2 or 3 of my hemisync things, which were lovely, and I feel the lift in my spirit with them. Went to dinner with a friend, which was also lovely. Wasn't sure that was going to happen because her mom is in the hospital at the moment. So let's rub our hands together, send some good energy to her mom, to her. Good morning, Beth. Welcome. In fact, her mom had to be placed in a hospital that wasn't the hospital where my friend works, because that hospital was full. No beds. No beds. That's kind of horrifying in my opinion. So we're just sending some energy. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for the pretty hearts and rainbow, Carolyn. I appreciate it. And I love seeing when I go back later in the morning and I comment on everybody's stuff, etc. I love seeing how many of you have greeted each other. So there's the little care symbol behind, and there's little, likes and whatever, that we're holding together as a group here, right? We are the practical rebels. We are the practical rebels. And I want us today to really embrace that. So those of you who follow John Riddell, R-O-E-D-E-L, he is a poet, and he posts his stuff on Facebook. One I came across today, which was like, holy crap, right on, was about his family. And my sister and I had another tussle yesterday. And finally I just said, we're done talking about this. This is not going anywhere. It's descending into the bowels of hell. Let's just not talk for a bit. Let's figure out our own stuff. Then let's set some parameters within which we can operate and come back together and see what we can do with this. So, John Riddell's poem, it's actually more like prose, but it was about him feeling like the odd guy out in this family in which he was planted. And the universe makes no mistakes. But I will tell you, there was a point in time at one time, I read a book called Freckled in 14. And the gist of the book was the girl never felt like she fit in her family. And going through papers at one point, I don't know why she was going through papers, she found her adoption papers. And then everything made sense to her. And so I went looking for my adoption papers. There were no such things because I'm not adopted. But that feeling of not belonging, not fitting in, being the black sheep, etc., etc., etc. Some of you can relate to that. Well, his poem was about, or his prose was about, his dad being an incredibly impeccable, precise pharmacist, and his mother equally brilliant, very organized, and his brother being what he called a comet, like intelligent beyond belief, everybody whispering behind his back about how wonderful he was going to be. And then there's John. And John is messy and filled with wonderment, and his path is like this instead of, and all the things. And he says in there, he never doubted that he was loved. He just was that clinker in the works, the one that just didn't quite fit. Now he can see the value of that for his family. It would have been very easy for all of them to just keep going along in their divine perfection way if they didn't have Messy John to deal with, and the value of having Messy John to deal with. Good morning, Maureen. Glad you are here. So, I want us today to value our messiness, to value that our path is like this instead of this nice straight trajectory, to value our doubts, our missteps, our seeming missteps. It's all for purpose, right? And so that's part of the reason, hello Barb, I want to read the beginning part of the Oracle of E, Pam Grout and Colette Baron-Reid. Some of you aren't familiar with either of these women, and so I want to give you a little bit of a sense of them, and then I want to read part of the introduction to this card deck because it tells you about who they are. And that's important, I think, having the reference point for... You did too? Okay, cool. And I thought that was brilliant of that particular author. I don't remember who wrote the book, Freckled in 14, but that she nailed it right on the head in terms of how many of us felt. So, I've talked about Pam Grout's books, E Squared and E Cubed, but I never really explained what they were about. So here's the little synopsis on the books so that you can go, oh, that might be interesting. I might get that. Visit thriftbooks.com. They're fabulous. E Squared, 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. E Cubed, 9 more energy experiments that prove manifesting magic and miracles is your full-time gig. So you can tell already, they're kind of coming from that other mindset. That mindset of, it's not all about the linear. It's not all about this follows this, and this follows this, and this leads to this. And it's about this great big hot mess we call life, and that there's underlying organizing principles, yes, that we've heard about through science, but we've also heard about through other kinds of things. Also, for those of you who visit my personal page, I think it went to my personal page, maybe it went to this page. Anywho, I posted something I just read, which was about teachers and the ineffable value of teachers beyond teaching whatever they're paid to teach. Science, languages, special ed, whatever it is, English. There's much more important things they do. Teaching humans how to be humans, helping people with the crap they run into as they're going through life. You flunked the test because your family's living out of your car right now. You flunked the test because you don't have glasses and you can't see. You flunked the test because you've been up 3 nights in a row because the family's going through a divorce and you're exhausted. You know, all the important stuff that if we ignore it, we lose people. Literally lose people. So anywho, those are her 2 books. And then Colette Baron-Reid has books, Remembering the Future. Isn't that a great title? Remembering the Future, The Path to Recovering Intuition. Messages from Spirit, The extraordinary power of oracles, omens, and signs. The map. Finding the magic and meaning in the story of your life. Aren't those lovely? Those are lovely, because how many of us can feel that there's much more to all of this than what we necessarily have access to at any given point in time. So, I'm going to read some of their introduction because I think it helps us then when we're using the cards. And it helps us then when we're living our lives. Introduction. What if Spirit, God, Quantum Fred, the Dude, or whatever name you choose to call the big intelligence that breathes life throughout the cosmos could talk to you? Wouldn't you just love knowing that the almighty Dude, who is always conspiring for your highest good, could offer some quick advice every time you need it? Now, for me, I struggle with the word dude because it implies male, and that's way too much of my Christian upbringing. But pick any others of those. I like the Quantum Fred. That's kind of a hoot. Spirit, universe, the force that keeps the birds in the air, source, creator. I like those. The divine. I've got a friend who says the divine mother father. There you go. I view it as genderless, but however you view it. Imagine this guidance showing up any time you need a nudge, a hooray, a wink. Almost like a best buddy who's always there to support you, cheer you on, keep you on track whenever you nod off and forget you're a magnificent manifesting machine. Every time you slide backward, this energy being of awesomeness will ensure you're pointing in the right direction. Introducing the Oracle of E, the magical project we, Pam Grout and Colette Baron-Reid, cooked up an oracle that is tried and true, uncanny, humorous, and always accurate. So Colette says, it's based on the divination system I developed over the years, derived from a combination of ancient oracles from around the world, and now remade for the modern manifester. They are animated by concepts from Pam's wildly successful books on working with the universe to manifest all you desire. Pam says, long before I was a New York Times best-selling author, Colette called me to tell me that this would be my fate. We became fast friends, sharing our love of laughter and a commitment to making metaphysics fun and spirituality something that is happy, joyous, and free. Well, the dude knew what he was doing, as we quickly recognized that a joint product that combines expertise in creating real working oracle decks, Colette, and a special brand of prosperity party planning, Pam, with the dude as eminent host and co-creative partner would be fabulous. After all, who wouldn't want the universal energy on board for ready messages and real-time supportive guidance? Really, who wouldn't want the dude as their daily cheerleader? The dude really does abide. This oracle not only will show you how to create your own reality, but also will keep you on track while doing it. Like a universal GPS, it will reflect where you currently stand, show you where you need to go, and give you insight and guidance to get there in a style befitting the rock star that you are. But keep in mind, you get to do the work, which is easy, as you're empowered to think differently and raise your vibration in accordance with its powerful message. This guidebook delivers answers as though the dude is speaking directly to you. The cards are advisory in nature, leading you to the knowledge that your dreams and desires are truly available to you, and reminding you to keep the faith and, my favorite word ever, believe. Believe. And to, of course, master the all-important lesson that thought creates reality. Or as Mike Dooley puts it, thoughts become things. This oracle always tells the truth. It will prove to you that the universe and all your angels are waiting for you to pay attention and step onto your own magic carpet. Whatever you call this divine intelligence, the dude, Quantum Fred, spirit, or source, just know that its greatest desire is for you to get out of your own way and claim an extraordinary life. We are so proud of this deck. May it give you all you need to help you manifest the life of your dreams. So, before we do our card, let's do a little tapping and a little breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. There's 6 of you on here and me. Let's breathe together. In through your nose, out through the mouth. And here's a breath for all of those who will watch by the end of the day, which has been ticking up. We're in the 200s at this point. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Welcome, welcome, welcome. One more, just for good measure. In through the nose, out through the mouth. There. And just notice, how does it feel to be in your own skin? Right here, right now. Just check in. How does it feel? And here's our card. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. I like that. So, loud and clear. Can you hear me now? What about now? This is the time for telling it like it is. Get very clear in your intentions, know exactly what you want to communicate, and trust that you are currently connected to the universal network. And just so you know, it's a lot bigger than 10G. Think about that. All of the potential energy that's out there. Source, capital S. Energy that we can utilize because we are conduits. Energy that we can utilize. Many of us have been kind of moving along as if we're the opera singer who isn't tapping the diaphragmatic breath. And then opens up the pipes, right? Amazing. Amazing. We have that same potential through source. The same potential through source. We've been handed a bill of goods that we have to be striving all the time and our absolute peak performance, blah, 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 and that performance relies completely on you, yada, yada, yada. No. No. We are divine channels for the universal energy, which, as the card says, is much bigger than 10G. And what are we messing around with now? 5G, right? So why not assume there's all these resources out there and within, because there is no difference. There is no difference. We are a semi-permeable membrane, and all of it is available, right? What would you do with that energy? If you made the decision to tap all of that energetic power, what would you do with it? You know exactly what my answer is, right? Create a pocket neighborhood with intentional community that houses a vast and ever-growing group of people who are connected, mind, body, and spirit, to a way of being that fosters, let me think my word, I love that my mind decides to blank, that fosters manifesting in all of these areas. Breathe. And you might be saying, yeah, but Bonnie, I don't know what mine is. Doesn't matter. Breathe. Know that it's there. Know that there's maybe even more than one. If 20 years ago someone would have said, Bonnie, you're going to be messing around in housing, the fringes of housing, not just normal, regular, single-family homes or towers of people, but in that missing middle, that's where you're going to be messing around. Workforce housing. I would have said, you're nuts. You're nuts. I don't care about that. That's not my gig. Yeah, it is. How many of you are in a place right now, flourishing? That's the word. Fostering flourishing on all levels for all people. And do I have to do all levels for all people? No. I just need to do what's in my lane. What's in my lane? And if what's in your lane right now to you feels too big, break it down to a ridiculously small step. I always like thinking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s idea of you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the next step in faith. And from that next step on the staircase, you can see further and further and further. And sometimes we have to get around a corner before we can see more of the path. And we really don't get to see long term all the way down the path. Just, it's kind of like, who talks about that? One of the people in The Secret, I can't remember which guy, but the gist being that we can drive from one coast to the other coast in the dark at night with just the headlights showing us the next chunk that we're driving. We can make it all that way in incremental chunks. That is life. We live our lives in incremental chunks, the chunk that we can see in the moment. And sometimes it's foggy and we can't see very far. Stepping forward in faith. So, I'd love to hear from you. What out of all of this, the Oracle of E stuff, either their description in the beginning or the card itself, or any of the other stuff that I wove in here, was helpful to you? What's setting you more happily on your life path today? What's useful? Because we can dig up more of that. So I hope you have an awesome Sunday. Take a breath together, in through the nose, out through the mouth, setting us all on our path for the day. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I just thought that was funny. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Know that you are capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.